Hey, what's up everybody? This is Aaron from Studio 3B. Today I want to talk about my DAC or DAC that I upgraded in my home theater slash stereo system. And it's a significant upgrade for me, and I thought I'd share that with you and let you know what I think of the Schiit Bifrost 1 original multi-bit DAC. So my DAC journey has been, something of a bumpy road. I haven't really invested much in it over the years. I started out technically my first DAC was my audio interface, which I had a Focusrite Scarlett 2i4. I've had that since the dawn of time. I did have a Sapphire before that was Firewire, and I ended up selling that. Unfortunately, I needed the cash at the time. Yeah, I got the 2i4 USB model, and I used that for mixing audio and listening to stereo on my powered Yamaha HS7s. Eventually, I invested in a stereo system and got the Polk TSI 300s, and those were floor standing speakers, and I listened to those forever. But for the DAC, I used whatever was on board in my receiver, which I think at the time was some sort of Onkyo. I ended up frying that by crossing some wires that didn't belong to be crossed while it was powered on. So I fried my Onkyo receiver. I ended up going to Rotel at some point, albeit used Rotel, but still decent quality. I got the 1580 RSP for my preprocessor. So I was using that as my DAC for some time with my Focal Profile 918 floor standing speakers, and that's been going great for some time. Then I got into a conversation with my buddy ChatGPT. It turns out I had a DAC that I've been using for listening to headphone audio on my computer for a while. It's the Cambridge Audio DAC Magic 100. I love this DAC. It is really good. It's solid performer. I think it sounds better than the Focusrite audio interface. It's really good for headphones, and it's good for a desktop because it has a manual power on switch, and it can go into standby mode if the power gets shut off or something like that. So it's more like a manual intervention DAC. So it's not something you kind of set and forget, because if the power goes out or something, you have to remember to turn this thing back on. That being said, so it does have optical SPDIF and RCA outs. So it does have a USB connection as well, which is helpful for my computer connection. So I tried this with the analog input on my RSP 1580, and it turns out by the suggestion of ChatGPT that it would sound better, and it in fact did sound good amount better than the DAC built into the 1580. So that was a pleasant surprise. So that led me down the track. I've been on a cable upgrade kick. Why don't I go ahead and upgrade the DAC? So I went and did some research, and they were suggesting in the ChatGPT conversation, AI was suggesting the Schiit Bifrost DAC. And so I went and I bid on eBay for one of these for what I thought was a good deal, around 300 bucks. So I saw this thing sitting on eBay for 300 bucks, and I put a bid in, made an offer, and it was accepted, and I ordered this thing. Little did I know, the one that everyone's raving about is the Schiit 2 64-bit, which is a multi-bit R2R, as far as I understand, DAC. And that's the one that's kind of like the de facto standard USA-made DAC for, a lot of people. The one I thought I was going to go after was the Denafrips Ares II. That seems to be about the same ballpark price. But now that I'm doing a little research, turns out maybe the Schiit Bifrost 2 64-bit multi-bit DAC is the one to go for, maybe mainly because I'm an American and I want to support my country, and it's made in the USA. So researching the Schiit Bifrost 2 64, turns out that it has good resolution, good resolving sound, good stereo imaging, and the whole 9 yards. It's detailed and just superb as far as I could hear in the reviews. The Denafrips Ares is also very natural as far as I could tell from the reviews, and it's more organic or whatever. I was gonna go for the Schiit Bifrost 2 64, but in my mind I thought I was getting a good deal for $300. I thought maybe, I don't know, like what gives. So I got this thing. It turns out after I already made the offer, I found out that it is the version 1, the original version, but it is the multi-bit version, in fact, and it has the USB edition. Not that I'm going to use it for USB right now. You know, it's a good deal for what it's worth. It has optical in, RCA in, USB in, and it has RCA out. It does not have balanced out. What I do like about this though is the power supply. It takes the standard power plug, and that means it's got the better power supply inside of it. Rather than the Cambridge Audio, this thing has a wall wart. It is significantly cheaper. It has a very thin wire supplying the power. I was thinking about upgrading this for an iFi power supply at some point anyway. Anyway, just build wise, this thing is much more substantial. It's built like a tank. It's about, I don't know, it seems about 8 inches by 5 inches, and it's about 2 inches tall. It's substantially thick, and it has all the features I need. The nice thing also about it is it has a on-off switch in the back, so it will stay on. Even if you lose power, it'll be on when the power comes back on. And it has a port selector right here. So it has just 3 little simple symbols, one for USB, one for optical, and one for RCA, digital coax in. So let's talk about what do I think about the sound of this Schiit Bifrost 1 multi-bit. Well, I plugged it in. I immediately noticed there was a signature that seemed to me like there is a huge blanket over the top of my speakers. Don't get me wrong, that's not the end of the review. But there was a sort of veiling presence to the sound that I couldn't ignore. The sound was more subdued and withdrawn, okay? So, but behind that veil was a more pleasing, fully detailed, and resolving sound over the DAC Magic 100. It was way easier to hear the details, the distinguished instruments, and separation, and less unpleasing sounds were coming out of the speakers with the Schiit versus the DAC Magic. So one example of this is Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. So that song has the most killer intro you'll ever hear for a song that's about microwaves. Anyway, so that song, I love that intro, and it is, it builds up, it gets louder and louder and louder till the point where the guitar is at, 101% volume. And on the original Cambridge Audio DAC Magic 100, that would just shrill my ear a little bit, and I'd have to turn the volume down just about every time that main guitar riff came in, full bore. When it hit on the Schiit, it was tolerable at even loud volumes. It wasn't shrilling in my ear. It was reproduced to an effect that I could put up with the sound. So it was more tonally balanced. I don't know. I'm still learning how to use these audiophile words. Okay, so, but it was more tonal and pleasing and musical. Okay, I'll use that word. But I'm a little disappointed by the veil sound that is coming out. So it's like kind of like, I don't know. It could be my cables. I just upgraded to AudioQuest Viper. Old, I do all old stuff. I kind of tend to buy used equipment. I think it's a good way to figure out what you want in life and do it at a reasonable price. So the AudioQuest Vipers are going from my DAC to the preprocessor, and then I have, I think, AudioQuest Red Rivers running from the preprocessor to the main power amplifier, the RSP1582 Mark II. So it could be the new cables too. I did just switch that up this weekend, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't think it's all attributed to the cabling. I really think that this thing has something going on with that. It just could stand to pop out more, the sound. And a lot of it also could be the lack of acoustic treatment in my room. I'm looking forward to doing that in the near future. However, I'm waiting to spackle and paint and do all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm waiting on the acoustic treatment. In the meantime, I'm just upgrading my system here. So my opinion of this DAC, I should have saved for the 2/64, okay? That's used, you can get it like $700-800 bucks. This I paid $300 for. I got a halfway decent DAC. It could have been a lot better. Also, if you're on a budget, this is a good deal because it's a significant upgrade over the DAC Magic 100. So it's a significant step up, but it's not nearly as far as I could have taken it if I just saved a little longer. So I'm mediocrely pleased with my decision to purchase this. That's my review. It's much more pleasant to listen to music right now, but it's not nearly where I want to be. So let's just say I'll stick this in another room on another stereo when I finally do upgrade to the Bifrost 2/64 or the Denafrips Ares II, or who knows if I hit the lottery. Until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and please check all my other videos on this channel and stay tuned for more videos coming real soon. Talk to you later.